Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Hump Day, Wednesday, January 10th of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful week so far. Let's go ahead and hop into these astrological transits so we can see how you can be better prepared to navigate these celestial energies, right? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that calendar. So we do have, with today being the 10th, we do have the sun that's going to be squaring the nodes, building up to that new moon in Capricorn, which will happen tomorrow morning around 6:30ish Eastern Standard Time. So yes, and this is going to be interesting because this is going to be the last time. This is going to be the last time that we have a new moon in Capricorn with Pluto in Capricorn at the same time. So we're not going to see this again in our lifetimes. We're also not going to ever see the sun squaring the nodes in this way with Pluto here. We're not going to see a sun in Capricorn square the nodes while Pluto is here in our lifetime. It's not going to happen again. So that's another interesting facet about all this. And yes, the nodes will return back to this exact spot in 19 years, but Pluto won't be back in this spot for another 240 plus years. So, yeah, we're going to see multiple sun square the nodes again until Pluto comes back here, but it won't happen in our lifetime unless they come out with some sort of technology that allows us to live really long. So, of course, we already had that technology within us. So, any technology that we come up with externally, it's just a reflection of what we already can do ourselves. In any event, let's go ahead and actually hop into the actual charts, right? So, the current moment we do have, of course, that moon here at 7 degrees of Capricorn. It is coming off of a trine to Jupiter. The sun at 19 degrees is still in trine to Uranus, and it's getting ready to square the nodes today. So we're going to really start to see that come more into its fruition. Starting around 1:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to see the sun move to that 20th degree of Capricorn, moving within 9 degrees of Pluto. And like I said, this is going to be squaring the nodes. This is the major aspect of the day. And of course, whenever we have a sun square the nodes, we're at a bit of a crossroads, right? We're at a bit of a crossroads. This crossroads, you have the North Node over there in Aries with Chiron and Eris, pretty much at the midpoint between those two energies. And of course, we have the South Node over there in Libra, all by itself. Now, this North Node in Aries is wanting us all to, express our true authenticity and to be raw with it. The only issue here is that there's a Chiron and an Eris attached to it. So Eris is causing a lot of discord. Eris is like tossing folding chairs into the fray, hoping that's going to cause a fight. And then you have Chiron over here, which is afraid to express itself based off of what's happened in the past traumas, past wounding. So the North Node is stuck between a rock and a hard place, pretty much literally. And with the sun squaring this spot, and the sun, of course, being here in Capricorn, we're a lot more focused on, our career, our legacy, integrity, the things that we're building in our life. And it's going to be easier to want to run to the South Node in Libra. It's going to be easier to want to run to a place where we're just trying to find any type of balance or harmony. It's going to be easier to run to a past relationship, the South Node in Libra, that may make us feel a little bit more comfortable. It's going to be a lot easier to want to do that. Whereas going the other way is not necessarily going to be the easiest. Now, being that this is 20 degrees, 2 plus 0 is 2, so it reduces back to 2. And 2 in numerology is ruled by the moon. It's also Cancer energy. So With the moon also here in Capricorn, and it is in its dark moon phase, building up to this new moon, today is going to feel a little deep, a little intense, and we can feel that something is getting ready to be purified. Like I said, the moon going over Mercury and Mars within the 30 degrees to the sun means that something right here is being purified. And if you take it a step further, if I were it for me blah 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 blah, allow me to expand on my thoughts for yesterday about any time that the moon is within 30 degrees of the sun, getting ready for a new moon. The planets that it conjuncts on the way to the new moon are very, very important. That's like a 12th house aspect, right? It's a 12th house aspect. If you think of the sun as like the beginning of like the first house, and the planets that are behind it within that 30 degrees, it's like a 12th house aspect, right? So the moon going over this spot, it definitely brings a bit of a deeper spiritual nature to this, especially because it's a dark moon. It's just like it's almost as if these planets are in a bit of a prism or a prison too, right? And this moon going over that spot is going to help to really tap into those planets and those energies. And then, like I said, once it hits the sun, it gets purified, it gets brought to the light, it gets let out, if you will, right? So the frustrations when it comes to this Mercury and Sag, the frustrations that may come with the Mars and Capricorn, even though it's exalted and Mars is very, very strong, right? So that's the thing about this. We have one planet that's in detriment and one planet that's exalted. So it's like two different extremes. It's two different sides of the spectrum where our mind is trying to figure everything out and trying to have the big picture, and Mars is just like it's like a go-getter, wants to go for it and do the things, do all the things, and just wants to be seen and climb the mountain, right? The moon has taken any frustrations when it comes to those energies, and now it's getting ready to deposit that with the sun and really start something anew and really purify. But with the sun, of course, today squaring the nodes, it can be difficult with the moon that's in this dark moon phase. That we're going to be feeling this energy a lot more intensely, especially considering the fact that that moon today is also going to square over to Chiron, and that's towards the end of the day, mind you, on 9:32 p.m., if you will. We're going to see that moon hit that 15th degree, so it is going to square Chiron today. Definitely can be a day where it provides a bit of a challenge. I feel like since these energies, since that North Node is with that Chiron and the moon's going to actually hit the Chiron, we're going to probably feel that side of the energy a little bit more. I think today's going to be a day where it's going to be easy to want to run to that South Node even though it's still square. I think it's going to be easy to want to run to a past relationship or something in the past that might have brought us balance and harmony in the past, might have brought us some sense of justice in the past, but it's not. Is it actually going to give us the thing that we want? Is it actually going to level us up? This is sort of like I'm just using Pokemon as a reference, right? But say you have let's just say you have four badges, right? And you're heading off to the fifth gym, and you have, say, you've lost to the fifth gym leader like multiple times, right? And you can't seem to break through, right? Running to the south node will be like running back to the routes around the first or second gym. Just because you know that you can beat up on those Pokemon, just because you know you can beat up on the trainers that are on that route because you've done it before. But then you end up spending so much time there grinding and grinding and grinding just to kind of get yourself back, just to get yourself up to a level to where you can defeat this fifth gym leader, right? But why go back so far? Why go back to a place that you've already done? Why would you go back to relationships that no longer serve you or simply just vibrated out of your life, right? No one said that this was going to be easy, right? So if you really want to level up here and you're having difficulty with this gym leader, this is when you practice in the routes around that gym leader, not going all the way back to the first, second, third route where the Pokemon are like level like 5 and your freaking team is already like in the 30s, right? You know how many level 5 Caterpies you're gonna have to kill so your freaking Pokemon can get up to the level that they need to be at to fight this, you know, fifth gym leader, if you will. I'm using Pokemon as a reference, and hopefully you guys can understand what I'm saying, right? Hopefully you guys can understand the metaphor that I'm using. But that's just going to take entirely too much time. Entirely too much time. You can do that route though. That's the thing about this. It's a free will universe. You can go that route if you want to. Just know that it's going to take a lot of time to do that. And it's probably better for you to stick it out and fight some of the other mons, or you can skip the gym altogether. Sometimes you may have a better matchup against the another gym leader. You never know. But this is sort of like one of those energies, like I said, where we can get so caught up in wanting to go back to something in the past that made us feel good, especially with the moon here in Capricorn. Maybe that thing in the past made us feel good, you know, that relationship, whether it's romantic or it's a friend or it's a relationship to a substance or a relationship to, you know, something, right? It doesn't have to be like a person, it can be a thing, right? We run to that today, thinking that it's going to give us the comfort and the strength to move forward. But the fact of the matter is that this is a moment where we need to have courage because I think especially with these energies, with this North Node, with Aries and Chiron. We have, of course, you know, the sun coming off of the trine to Uranus. We have the moon that's coming into the trine with Uranus. We have Mars, which is getting ready to trine Jupiter. And you can already see that they are pretty much are in trine at 450 and 547. So they're within a degree of their trine. So that trine is strengthening. This is definitely one of those moments where it's like the level ups and the expansion can most certainly happen and will happen. We have to just get out of our own way. We can't let we can't let fears rule. We can't let like thoughts of fear rule us. We have to have a lot of courage in this moment. And that's the thing about this. Fear isn't inherently a bad thing or negative. Fear is what kept humans alive for the longest time. Fear is what keeps a lot of animals alive. The problem is that when we allow fear to completely dominate our vibration, so you can move forward even if you are afraid. That's what courage is. Because who said that you weren't afraid? Who says that the warrior wasn't afraid to fight the dragon? But they do it anyways. Why? Because there is a higher ideal, because of their integrity, because there is something more to accomplish. If it doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. I'm going to repeat that. If it does not scare you, it's probably not big enough. So that's the thing. We all have dreams and goals and aspirations. If it's something that doesn't, at the very least, make you like questions like, wow, can I really pull this off? Like it's big, right? It's massive. It's huge. You know, something that you haven't done before, right? It's unique. It's raw. You know, that's the thing about this too. A lot of you guys are meant to create and bring in certain facets of your spirit that have never been seen before on this earth and never really been truly expressed on this plane of existence. And there is some fear to actually bring this out because you wonder how well it's going to be received. Well, that's just the thing. Express it anyways. Be yourself anyways. Because the right people will understand the message and will show up. You can't be so focused on trying to appeal to everybody. That's the other dangerous thing about the sun squaring the nodes, especially at 20 degrees, which is going to make things very emotional. And a moon that's building up to the new moon, but it's in its dark moon phase. Today's going to be a day where they try to appeal to your emotions. They try to appeal and tug on your heartstrings. and try to bring balance and harmony in that aspect. Try to say that, oh, this is just. And they're going to try and paint this whole big story, right? Paint this whole big story. Today is in many ways a day that we're kind of getting over a hump. If you think about it, once the sun hit that 21st degree, kind of gets over the hump of this squaring the nodes. It was building up to the nodes. Think about it. When it entered into Capricorn, it was building up to the nodes, building up to the nodes, building up to the nodes. Now it's squaring the nodes, and it's getting over the hump. And then we head to that new moon, right? So I think today can be a very powerful day. I think it can be a very positive day, especially, like I said, with that Mars coming into that trine with Jupiter. There's so much more that we are capable of, and we have all the tools that we need. And Jupiter's getting ready to really show us and expand now that Jupiter is moving forward, right? And this Mars is going to be trining it. So there's so much more than we realize. It's almost like Mars is climbing this mountain, and then it gets to Jupiter, and Jupiter's kind of like the base camp, if you will. And Mars went through the first 5 degrees of Capricorn with what it, with what it had, what it needed. Now it gets to one of like the base camps, if you will, or one of the camps going up the mountain by trining over to Jupiter, right? And then it's going to be like, oh, you know, there's much more materials here. I can upgrade some of my, my climbing materials, my climbing equipment. I can upgrade some of these things. So we're getting ready for a powerful upgrade, and we don't even realize it. That's the thing about this. So I think that's the beautiful thing about this too. When we get to the new moon, which like I said will be tomorrow, we're going to see Mars hit that 5th degree and start to trine Jupiter, right? So now, of course, that's like I said, that's going into more Thursday and stuff like that, right? But that's where we pretty much are now. I think it's interesting, of course, today too, that if you look at the planets, the Moon is out of bounds and Mars is out of bounds, right? And what's crazy about it is that even though Mars is in its exaltation, Venus and Jupiter have a stronger score than it. Let me go ahead and just show you guys that as well. I think that that's pretty interesting. So if you look over here, Venus is at +8, Jupiter is at +5, right? Mars is at +4. So when we start the day, Venus is actually stronger, Jupiter is stronger, even though Mars is in its exaltation. Now, and of course, like I said, we have the moon that's out of bounds, and we have Mars that's out of bounds. That's the crazy thing about this. Mars is in its exaltation, but it's out of bounds. So the energy is going to be a little bit exaggerated. Which kind of makes sense before Mars trines over to Jupiter. Because it's like Mars is having to really dig deep just to get to the 5th degree. And having to do like a lot and exhaust a lot of energy. At least when it trines Jupiter, it gets some of that energy back. It gets a little bit of the healing back. People forget that Jupiter can heal your ass because people forget that Jupiter, yeah, it rules Sag and it's a co-ruler of Pisces, but it really likes to be in Cancer. And Cancer is a healer. People forget that Jupiter can do that. People forget that Jupiter is also a protector because if you look at the actual planet Jupiter, it has all of these asteroids and moons that are rotating around it, that are orbiting it, and it catches a lot of debris. It catches a lot of stuff before it gets into the inner solar system. So it's a healer, it's a protector. People forget about that aspect of Jupiter because they forget about the physical nature of these planets too, right? So that's the thing about this. Mars has had to struggle just to get to this particular degree, if you will, even though it's in its exaltation. But now when it gets to the trine with Jupiter, which is coming up soon, which is going to start tomorrow, it's going to definitely feel a little bit better. It's going to get like a nice little boost. It's going to get a nice little level up. But we have to make it through today. We have to make it through the sun squaring the nodes, where it is going to feel like things are getting pulled at the heartstrings. Our emotions are going to be kind of a little bit more intensified today. And we have to have the wherewithal to be able to navigate this and not allow ourselves to be manipulated just because something may seem scary or weird or awkward or may cause some strife or some discord, right? It's like, oh, don't be yourself. Don't be raw. Just do the thing that's going to appeal to other people, right? South Node and Libra, appeal to other people. Don't be yourself. You know, run back to old relationships. Yeah. Let's get to the cards. Ooh, that card just came out, and it's just one card. All right, cool. So what do we got here? Ten of Wands. Oh, look at that. Is that Saturn up there? Sure, it looks like Saturn. You got the Ten of Wands. Telling you, there's some heaviness today, and there's something that needs to be released. There's something that needs to be released here. And I think it's interesting too that this is Wand, so it's a fiery element, and two the two planets that the moon goes over within its balsamic phase is Mercury, which is in a fire sign, right? And Mars, which rules a fire sign in Aries, right? So there's definitely this element where I feel like we're wanting to really manifest and cast some spells in our life, if you will, and bring some things actually in, but it's a little tough because there's a little bit of heaviness there. And you can see that he is pretty much trapped amongst all of these wands. So he is in a bit of a prison, if you will. It can also be a prism, though, where light shines through and creates this beautiful, dazzling display of light. But you don't have to feel trapped by your circumstances. Like I said, there's some heaviness here. He's on his knees. He's not carrying them. It's a little bit different. It's like he's trying to like move his way out of it. But if he were to simply stand up, he could probably get out of this too. If you were to simply just stand up. So that's the thing about this. Are you going to stand up today? Are you going to stand up for yourself, for your authenticity, for your rawness, for you? Are you going to stand up for that? That's the big question. I had that followed by, oh, well, we have the Emperor card in reverse. So, yeah, Aries energy comes up again. But like I said, this is in reverse. Are you going to listen to the Emperor with us? So there's going to be something about tugging at the heartstrings today. I feel like the media is going to be trying to put out something today, and it's already been kind of happening. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like this information might also get suppressed. But there's going to be something today with a moon that's out of bounds and a Mars that's out of bounds. It's going to be something where there's going to be some type of manipulation, some type of controlling of the narrative today to try and sway people to, the side where they're trying to sway people to the South Node in Libra. I'm going to be honest, you know, the Emperor card in reverse, this is someone whose authority has kind of run toxic, has run amok. This is not a spiritual authority. This is someone that is really trapped into their human ego and trapped into their human desires, if you will. You know, so you want to just be careful about that. You want to be wary of something like that. Now we do have the Two of Cups at the bottom right here, which I think is kind of interesting that this is the bottom of the deck is the Two of Cups, because this talks about emotionally connecting with somebody on an intimate level, whether it's a lover or a friend or something like that. So maybe today does provide an opportunity for you to tie up some loose ends with some old relationships, if anything. That could be the positive aspect of a square to the South Node, because maybe you have a friend that hits you up, an old friend or whatever like that. Maybe you tie up some loose ends today. Maybe you get some closure on a past relationship or something like that today. That could be a positive thing as well. And that can start to release a little bit of that heaviness that we're feeling with the Ten of Wands. But like I said, with that Emperor card in reverse here, I just have a feeling that some authority figures or whatever like that are going to try and appeal to emotion and try and sway people to think a certain way, feel a certain way, and adopt their narrative. So just be careful of that. And this stuff happens all the time anyways. I just feel like the energy is going to be a little bit revved up because everyone's emotions are going to be a little bit, like I said, out of balance, a little bit more intense, a little bit more deep, and especially considering that this is Capricorn energy. It's one of those things where it's like you have to be able to look at your life and look at your own accomplishments and stuff like that and appreciate where you are right now and not get too caught up if you're looking at your life and you feel like you don't have as many accomplishments as you would like to have had by this point. Today would probably be a good day to kind of go back and kind of meditate with like a younger version of yourself and inform that individual is like, hey, look at all the beautiful things that you have manifested. I know you're not exactly where you thought you was gonna be as far as like your dreams and stuff, but look at all these other things that have happened and stuff. And just know that you're gonna get there. So this is an exercise in trust today for sure. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast on this hump day. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful day. I will see you all on the next astrology forecast where we dive deeper into this new moon in Capricorn, the real start of 2024. Peace.